So in this video, I want to talk to you about life as an entrepreneur. Life as an entrepreneur. And the life as an entrepreneur, it is very uncertain, but it is very exciting as well. And when you are an entrepreneur, you face a lot of challenges, a lot of risk, but you also gain a lot of rewards. And the best part about being an entrepreneur is you get to create something that's exciting, and you get to create something that's meaningful and impactful. But you also deal with long working hours. You face a lot of setbacks, but if you have your faith, you can work through all of it. So what I want to do is share with you 6 key aspects that entrepreneurs have. Here's the first one. So the first key aspect is passion and vision. Passion and vision. Now, I believe that they both work hand in hand because those are 2 things that the entrepreneur has before they even start. So, of course, they have the vision to want to start the business. So, like for myself, I had a vision of being a DJ. So, I worked towards that and developed having a DJ business or DJ company. And then once you do that, you have the passion for it, of course, at that same time, because once you visualize it, you then develop a passion for it that will fuel you to start the business and also push you throughout the business through those challenging times. So that passion is what's going to keep you going when things don't look as good as you thought it would. And if I could think of a quote, I would think of this one right here, which is by Peter Drucker. And he says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And I really like that quote because that is what excites an entrepreneur, is that when you realize you have the power to create something and you actually work toward it and do it, that is the most exciting feeling ever, because you're starting something new, you're starting something that you visualized in your head, and you are creating it in real life and in physical form. So this is actually the most exciting time in an entrepreneur's life, when they are starting a business, starting their business. So that's the first key aspect, is passion and vision. So the next key aspect is understanding risk and reward. This is something that entrepreneurs understand from the jump. And if they don't, they will understand it real quick. Man, so you have to understand risk and reward. In order to get the reward, it requires you to take risk. So what entrepreneurs have to understand is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you have to take risks. And it is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard sometimes. But you have to understand that you have to take certain risks in order to get to the point that you're trying to get to. And I can tell you from experience, right now, it can be very stressful and it can be very hard, but you have to understand why you did what you did, or why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to focus on the outcome and not what you're going through, because yeah, it can get tough sometimes. It can. But like I said, man, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you have to take risks in order to get the reward that you're looking for. And that is something that entrepreneurs understand. So that is another key aspect, understanding risk and reward. So the next key aspect is learning and growing. Learning and growing. So what entrepreneurs have is the ability to learn from their mistakes and also learn from each challenge and obstacle that they go through. And I can tell you from my own experiences that that is the best way to look at each situation that you go through. When you do have a situation that you feel like you may have failed at or made a mistake at, you can't look at it as a loss. Just look at it as a learning opportunity. So some of them are very costly. Some of them are very costly, but you have to step outside of that and see what you think was the mistake that you have made in that situation, or um, see the obstacle that came up in that situation and learn from it. That's all you can do, is learn from it. What's done is done, move forward, and you just know not to do that again. So that's how I look at life. That's how I look at situations that happened in my business that I'm not very proud of, but it's okay. You move forward and you know how to handle that situation if it arises again. And what I want to tell my entrepreneur friends is, you may have a situation that may have cost you a lot of money, but the good thing about that is you can always make more. You can always make more. And you learn from that situation and you know not to do that again, you know? Or you know how to handle it differently. And that's what we need to understand. And Bill Gates has a quote, and it goes like this: "It's fine to celebrate success, but it's more important to heed the lessons of failure." And I really love that quote by Bill Gates because it helps you understand that you always have room to improve. You always have room to improve. And you can look at your failures and learn from them and improve from that. And you also need to improve, period, just every day, regardless if you have a failure in your life or not. You should always look for ways to improve yourself. You should always be reading books, audio books. You should always be taking a class on something, on things inside your business or even things outside of your business, something that you want to learn for your personal self, because it helps you develop new skills and it helps you be a better person all around. So always look for ways to improve and always look for ways to develop a new skill. So the next key aspect is flexibility and creativity. Flexibility and creativity. Now, when I say flexibility, I mean entrepreneurs have that ability to be flexible in their approach, in life situations, and in business. And you have to be flexible because things will be thrown at you all kind of ways, and you may have a plan and you may have a goal, but it's always something. It's always something that can happen, and you have to be flexible in those situations to, go around it or figure out a different way to handle it. So you have to be flexible, and you have to be creative as well, because you have to be creative in the way you handle problems. You definitely have to be creative in problem solving, for real, because you will have different issues and you have to be able to switch it up at a drop of a hat. Sometimes you don't have time to think about things all the way through, and you have to be quick. You got to be quick, and you got to be flexible. So those are some very good key aspects that you have to have, is flexibility and creativity. So the next key that you must have as an entrepreneur is a very important and vital key to have, and that is persistence and resilience. Persistence and resilience. Because you're going to deal with a lot of setbacks when having a business. And all my entrepreneurs know that, especially over these past few years, man. It has been a trip. And I know we see a lot of overnight successes online, on social media and all that stuff, but for most of us, that is not the case. So you have to have persistence and resilience. And it always goes back to having that passion and that vision that you had way back when. You got to keep that on your mind. You got to remember the vision that you had for your business when starting it, and you got to have that passion. You got to fuel that passion, man. And Like motivation, it comes and goes. Some days you're gonna feel like doing it. Some days you're not. Some days you're gonna feel like quitting. And you're gonna try to remember why you even started in the first place. So that's when you gotta have that resilience, man. You gotta keep going. Because you're gonna deal with a lot of setbacks when having a business. So always remember, you have to have persistence and resilience. So the last key aspect that I have for you guys that I feel that entrepreneurs have is impact and legacy. Impact and legacy. Now, I don't feel like all entrepreneurs reach this point because I don't feel like I've reached this point as well. Um, like I have a business, I do the job, but I don't feel like I've reached the level of impacting people or impacting the society. Besides, people just loving what I do. I want to do more than that. That's probably why I don't feel it. But also having a legacy where you build a business to the point where you're creating jobs for other people. And like I said, leaving an impact on society as a whole. That is a point or aspect that I want to reach, but I have not reached yet. Um, and like I said, if you disagree with me, if you know what I do and you disagree, let me know. Let me know what I do. But I don't feel it, I don't see it like that. But this is an aspect that entrepreneurs have the ability of achieving. And shout out to all the entrepreneurs that's doing that, where you are creating jobs for other people and people are benefiting from you doing your business. Like I said, that's an aspect that I want to reach. And I think that's a different level right there. It's a very different level where you are hiring people to work for you and also just blessing people in that way till they're able to pay their bills and take care of their families as well through your business. So, like I said, I want to get to that point. I'm solo right now, but I do want to get to the point where I'm like hiring people and just doing bigger and better things. And like I said, that's just a different level, man. And I'm happy for people that's able to do that. So those are my aspects that I feel that entrepreneurs have. And if you have any more, please list it in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. All right? Peace.